All right, welcome to the live stream, guys. Just do another quick one here today. Gonna look at some more truck prices for some just average starter over-the-road trucks. So, had a timer set to kind of wait for some people to get in here, and then we'll start looking at some of these truck prices to see what we can't find on the used truck market. Yesterday we looked at some. We kind of looked at some internationals, but today we're going to look at some Kenworths and whatnot, and then spend a few minutes looking at kind of see what's on the market and if it seems to be overvalued, undervalued, and prices are still way too high. So we're going to go down to Kenworth here on truck paper, and we're going to look at T680s. This is a pretty common over-the-road truck, so that's what we're going to look at. And we might do some modified searches for certain criteria, like looking at manuals versus automatics. Because if you're looking for a starter truck, it's probably better to get a 10-speed manual instead of automatics. You don't have to deal with all those automatic problems. But welcome, everybody. So we're looking at some. Sorry, my stupid mouse is going crazy here. Oh my gosh, what the heck is going on with this mouse? All right. So here we have, get past these auction. So I looked at this one yesterday. I think we've seen this one there yesterday. It's a 2020 T680 for $63,000, 382,000 miles. Not horrible, but we want to look at some. Here's another one for $45,000. This one's got a PACCAR in it. I would stick with Cummins personally, unless you just really want to take your chances with the PACCAR. If I was going to pick between the two, Cummins or PACCAR, I would definitely do the Cummins. But welcome, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. We're just kind of looking at some trucks, seeing what we can't find, seeing where prices are at. So overall, not horrible so far. Here's a 2020. It's got 450,000 miles for $52,000. That is an auto though, so we're gonna keep looking, keep going on the list. We're gonna see what we can't see on this first page, kind of what pops up, and then we're gonna do some specific searches and modify the search. Oh, here's a 10-speed manual. It's got a PACCAR in it. 2018 with 600,000 miles for $32,000. I mean, depending on how good or not good that PACCAR might be, that's not a bad deal. 27,000. I mean, that's 700,000 miles. I think you're kind of testing your luck with that one. You probably don't want something that low or that high in mileage. With the PACCAR, you never know what you're going to get. Another PACCAR. Whew. Okay, well, here's a brand new T680. 194,000. Jeremy, what's up, man? It is good morning for me. Wow, those are interesting looking. What do you guys think about these new T680s? They kind of switched the body style on these a little bit. Let's take a look at this. Okay. So they kind of made them look like the T880 a little bit more, and then just a different front end. 184,000 for one of these, brand new. Automatic. Interiors pretty much stayed the same, I think. if I remember correctly. But yeah, they kind of changed the outside a little bit. Or maybe I just haven't seen a bunch of new trucks lately. But yeah, what do you guys think about this new T680 body style? The front hood areas, they changed it a little bit. Yeah, so that's what a brand new one costs. But we know all too well that you won't be looking for a new truck if you're just getting started. That'd be crazy if you were. All right, here's 2022 with only 170,000 miles. So basically, pretty much a new truck for 100,000. And that's good. I feel like during the craziness and the height of prices a couple of years ago, they would be asking for like this truck here, this 2022, they would be asking $150,000 for this truck. So that's good. We can definitely see prices on just your average over the road trucks are starting to go down. And I guess when all the rates were crazy high, a lot of guys got into it and then they ended up getting back out because they couldn't make money or they went under. I've heard that trend a lot too. I don't know much about that because I've been in this business for 12 years. So, heck, during the craziness, when prices of everything were going crazy high, I feel like I was slower and had no work. I guess out there over the road, there's a lot of work to be had. All right. So, we're kind of getting a general price outlook here to see kind of where things are at. This is automatic. So, we're going to go and modify this search. Go back up to the top here. Let's see here. We're going to go manual transmission. And then we're going to change the engine to Cummins. Apply this filter. And now let's see what we get. See if prices remain relatively the same or if they're going to go crazy high or crazy low. Get past these auction listings. All right, so this is pretty low horsepower. This is 400 horsepower. I don't really recommend anything below 450. I mean, especially if you're hauling over the road all over the country with hills and stuff like that. You never know what you might want that extra bit of power. Thanks for the thumbs up, guys. Appreciate it. So $57,000. Man, 400 horsepower. I might have to change this. Oh, here we go. Here's a 2020. I mean, it's got a little higher miles 680,000, but it's 525, better horsepower numbers. $74,000. A little higher on the price. Okay, here's another one. This one's got 700,000 miles. Looks like from the same company. And this one's 61,000, so a little bit better on the price there. So here's a almost new, well, not really. Here's a 2022 for 125,000 with 300,000 miles. See, this is what we were seeing back during the height of the craziness was stuff like this. This is a little bit lower, but this is what I'm talking about. You basically got a 300,000 mile truck. It's well used. It's not gently used. It's not 100,000. It's not 150,000 miles. It's 300,000 miles. At 500,000 miles, the truck's considered half its life is over, right? You want to get a truck to 1,000,000 miles. So I guess out of California, they still think their stuff is worth way more money than it should be, which is not shocking. So this, this truck, they've got it priced like it's 2021 still, 2022. So, but this would probably be 150 though. So granted, it's $25,000 less than it was before, but they're still high on their prices, high on something. And that's what we're looking to hope that we don't see this anymore. We're hoping that we don't see, these crazy overinflated prices. But call for price. Okay, here's another new one for 205. Dang. Call for price. I hope these aren't all going to be call for price. This is ridiculous. All right, so here we got a 2021 Kenworth T680, 373,000 miles for 84,000. Still pretty. That's still kind of high. It's not bad, but I mean, it is a Kenworth, right? So you're going to fetch a higher price. It is a 500 horsepower Cummins, and it is a manual. Well, let's see if it's a manual. It's a 13 speed. That's kind of weird. They've got the AG 380. That's a really, really lower grade, like real light duty suspension. I typically look for like an AG 400. That's for 40,000 pounds on the rears and whatnot. You're gonna want that. You're not gonna want. I personally wouldn't want to get the 380s. That's only 38,000 pounds on the rears and a suspension rating. Well, here we go. Here's the 18 speed, 500 horsepower Cummins, 354,000 miles. Not too bad. And it's got a lift axle if you're going to do some heavier hauling. This is it's a little bit pricier than what we want to see, kind of stay between that $50,000-$60,000 range. But I mean, it's set up. It's dinged up a little bit. 330,000 miles. It's got the lift axle, so if you get into some like heavier hauling stuff, like over the road, this may not be a bad option. This isn't a horrible price. With my trucks, anything with a lift axle is just astronomically expensive. So to see a truck with a lift axle and actually, isn't that big horsepower? It's got 500 horsepower, 18 speed. I don't know if you spec this truck out. I don't know why they wouldn't just spec the 565 horsepower package. If you're going to do everything else, you got the 18 speed, you got the lift axle. It kind of confuses me what the mindset of some of these companies are, or individuals that spec some of these trucks out. I guess they think they're going to save fuel mileage with having only a 500 horsepower motor. They've got a 550 horsepower motor, and it's only using 500 horsepower. It's gonna be more efficient, less strained. So you're going to want more of that. You'd rather have power and not use it than need the power and not have it, in my opinion. But what do I know, though? Maybe I know what I'm talking about. That's very possible too. So here's a very similar truck. Well, not similar, but similar as far as horsepower. Cummins, similar price, I guess, what I should say. So if you go a little bit higher in the miles, it's got 421,000 miles. You're going to save $5,000, but you don't have the drop axle. And here's a 2020. It's got 500,000 miles. It's 18 speed. Let's keep going down here. That's too low horsepower. We're not going to look at it. 400 horsepower. It's really low. Let's see here. Here's a 450 horsepower Cummins, really high mileage. See, this is overpriced. For having 780,000 miles on it, 800,000 miles, they're asking 64,000, which we've seen trucks that have way less mileage for about that same price with 500 horsepower Cummins. So this is kind of what we want to get a good gauging of, like, where's pricing at. It's definitely come down a lot. I'm finally happy to see that pricing has come down. Now, depending on how rough these trucks are, this is a really $34,000 for it's 700,000 miles on it. So it's pretty high on the miles, but it's a 525 horse with the 13 speed. This is a pretty decent spec as far as power and transmission. But I'd imagine these trucks are probably a little bit rougher. Yeah, let's just get. Yeah, it doesn't look pretty rough. That's not a good example. We want to look at cleaner example trucks that basically. Well, I hate that when it throws you at the top of the page again. All right, we're gonna scroll back down to where we were. Ford horsepower. Here we go. Call for price. $45,000 for So I think this is another one that we looked at yesterday where they're trying to trick you, telling you it's a 10 speed, but it's really an automatic when it's it's when we want manual. And they sprayed the crap out of that frame. Let's see. Okay, this is a true manual. This truck's a little rough, but 45,000 miles, or I'm sorry, $45,000 is a little rough. Here's a 450 horse. Oh, that's a million mile truck. We don't want. Yeah, that's way too much. So this one, $45,000. It's not a bad price, but it is kind of rough. They say they have all the maintenance records available. Fleet maintained. Let's see here. And it's kind of funny. That other truck said Smart Advantage type of transmission. It's like, what? I thought for sure it was going to be an automatic, but it actually was a manual. So we got a 2020 T680 for $59,000, 450,000 miles, 450 horsepower, 10 speed. This is an okay price. Not the greatest. Keep looking here. Let's go on to the next few pages. Maybe there'll be some hidden gems in here. I guess this one's just not going to tell you the mileage at all. Love that. Here's another truck with a drop axle. See, this is actually the biggest horsepower truck we've seen so far. 565 horsepower. See, this is what you want. If you're going to be doing like some heavier hauling stuff. See, if you're going to have the drop axle and have this, more heavier haul spec truck, you're definitely going to want to have the 565 horse. Now watch them ruin it with the automatic transmission, which I don't know yet. We haven't seen it. It's got a bunch of aftermarket stuff. Auto chains. Don't know what type of suspension that is. That's not your typical. Let's see the interior. Let's see if there's actually. Hey, it's got an engine oil heater. That's good. It's a little crusty on the bottom side. Not too bad. So let's see if this is actually a true. They skipped it. They didn't show the. See, advertised horsepower right here. Oh, it's IX. Okay, X15 565. Okay, that's good. So it isn't a true 565 horsepower. Fuel water separator. There's a lot of pictures. They took a lot of pictures. That's always a good thing. Good brakes. I'm trying to look at the interior to see if it truly is a manual. Because if this is a manual truck, this may not be this is a pretty good deal. Hold on. Yep. Okay, okay, it doesn't matter. It's a 13 speed, so not horrible. It's better than a 10 in this application. It's a perfect, heavy haul, highway hauler. I mean, it's a little higher on the mileage, 575. But I mean, it's got everything you want. Heavy spec, or it's not heavy spec. It's got the drop axle. It's got lockers. It's got auto chains. That's good. You don't see a lot of full locker trucks anymore. So yeah, this is not a bad. Let's get back to the front of these photos. So it's pretty clean. Yeah, so this isn't a horrible option, but we're kind of looking. I'm getting more into like the realm of what I do, but if you want like a heavier spec truck to like the need, it's a drop axle to haul like a low boy or maybe like flatbed or something like that, oversized stuff. This is probably a pretty good truck for the price. It's got the big horsepower. Let's see here. All the specs here. 260-gallon fuel tank, so that's pretty good. This is not a bad option for $69,000. A little bit higher on the mileage, but hey, that's a problem with everything that happened. They stopped making trucks, so now we're stuck with all these higher mileage trucks because there's nothing else available. $61,000. They got 5 of these, so maybe you'll be able to negotiate down on the price. 61,000, 490,000 miles, 10-speed, 450. This is not a horrible spec. It's got the 10-speed, got 450 horse, under 500,000 miles, just barely though. For $60,000, that's not horrible. I mean, this truck's a little higher mileage for $10,000 less. Oh, and that's what a new one costs, $209,000. So good on that one. Okay, so now there's just a bunch of new trucks. $230,000. What? So as you guys can see, new trucks are still crazy. Like this looks like a halfway decent spec truck, and it's $209,000. Well, if it's truly 565 horse, so it's 209,000. But then you go down here and you're like, another new truck is 230,000. Like, dang, man. Like, so it's got a fancy paint job, and it's got a bull bar on it. I don't know if that makes it worth $20,000 more dollars. So it's kind of crazy. You look at like newer truck specs and prices, and like this truck is 209,000. It's only got 450 horsepower, manual 13-speed. But if we go up here, this truck as well, if this specs are correct, this is the exact same truck with a 565 horsepower motor and a 13-speed as well, bigger horsepower for the same price. So you'd probably rather reach out to this truck dealer and buy this one versus a lesser truck for exactly, yeah, it's basically the same price for a lesser truck with 100 less horsepower. Just something to look at if you're, well, we're not doing the search to look for new trucks, but I just wanted to kind of get an idea of what they cost, truck prices. So new trucks are still crazy expensive as usual. But it is interesting that, like, apples for apples, you can get a way more horsepower truck for the same price. And there might be some other little things I'm missing there, but just looking at it, real quickly, that's kind of what we're looking at. So 315,000 miles, 450 horsepower comes for 100,000, little high. So yeah, guys, pretty much just wanted to go over some trucks and kind of see what the price were looking like, kind of where the market's at for a popular name brand, Kenworth T680. One of the most common trucks. Everybody wants Kenworth or Peterbilt. So these are one of the most popular trucks out there, or Freightliner in some cases. So I would say in general, about 80% of the trucks are definitely, we are seeing those lower prices for sure on like the used truck market. The new truck market, obviously, as you see here, is way overpriced. It's still way overpriced. This truck 3 years ago was probably $170,000, if that. So now it's 209. And I don't know how much is markups or how much is actual cost from the manufacturer. It's like when I spec'd out my truck, it was like a 185 or 190, and it was a fully heavy spec truck and all the bells and whistles. Obviously, I backed out of that one. Kind of regretting that now, but the prices were just plummeting for those few months, and I didn't want to get stuck with it. And they had some module problems, so I decided not to go with a brand new truck, because I'd rather keep my older trucks that I can fix still and get parts for. But yeah, so in general, it looks like we are seeing some relief in the used truck market for sure. Prices are definitely going down in the right direction. You look at something like this, or so yeah. I'm happy to see that. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you guys agree with me, I think looking at these same pages a year ago, a year and a half ago, every truck I see on here with the same amount of mileage and specs was at least 20,000, if not $30,000 more. A truck like this that had 490,000 miles, so almost half used, right? It's almost halfway through its life. They were asking $80,000-$90,000 for these trucks. And like we showed you a truck earlier that had, it was like 180 or 200,000 miles on it. It was a 2022, and it was listed at like 120,000, or maybe it's 300,000 miles, but it was 125,000. I feel like those trucks were like 150. They're almost the price of a new truck a couple of years ago. So prices definitely are going down. So that's good to see. But all right, guys, thanks for joining me. Thanks for the thumbs up and the thumbs down. I don't really care, so that's always fun to see. But I'll catch you guys on the next one, and have a good one.